Hello and welcome to another episode of Navigating Life as an Immigrant Woman, where we share stories, tips, and insights, challenging you to expand your thinking and leverage your immigrant advantage. I am your host, Ifi Ngudike, the author of The Successful Immigrant Woman, 8 Transformational Strategies to Build Confidence, Be Empowered, and Achieve Success as an Immigrant Woman. If you are on that journey of becoming a successful woman, you are in the right place. Just grab a cup of your favorite beverage and listen in. Welcome to episode 15. I'm so happy you've joined us again today to talk about how to navigate life as an immigrant woman. Last session, I talked about emotions and goal setting and how you can work with your emotions to make sure that you meet your goals. Today, I'm going to talk again on emotions, but from a different perspective, really focusing on how you can mitigate emotional barriers in communicating. It's interesting because right after I talked about emotions and goal setting, I had an experience at work where my emotions were displayed in a way that I would not have loved it to happen. And it got me to start thinking, because we're all human, things happen. I was aware that I was feeling overwhelmed. I felt a lot of pressure. But the way it came out and where it came out, I was not very proud of myself at that moment. And, as humans, I think that could happen to anybody. But it's what do you do when that happens? And how can you even mitigate it from happening? So that's what I want to talk about today. Because as a leader or somebody that really wants to make connections with other people and build relationships, it's important that you don't let your emotional barriers impact your relationships, impact your communication negatively. So, what are some of those strategies that you can use to be able to mitigate emotional barriers when they come up in your communication? I'm going to share 3 things that work for me. And again, just like a lot of things, they're not usually easy, but the more we practice, if we know some of these things, if we are aware, our level of awareness is heightened, then we can catch ourselves. And whether we catch ourselves after doing and be able to, talk about it and make some changes, or we can actually catch ourselves before we go the wrong way. One of the things that I usually do is that I pause. I take a break. I recognize that there are things going on for me, that there are some triggers that may be happening. And once I recognize that, I take a pause. If I cannot leave physically the situation or that environment, which is actually the best one for me, I need to leave that environment. Sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes I try to say something before I leave, but I know that the longer I stay in that environment, it's not just gonna be good for me. I will not feel good about the way I have interacted or some of the actions and responses that I would have shown in that situation. So I would normally leave that situation or take a break, find something to break that momentum, to give me a pause so that I can recollect myself and think really authentically, how do I want to relate with another individual or the people in the room? What is the message that I really truly want to be able to put across? How do I work with people? That usually helps. However, again, sometimes this happens in hindsight, like the thing has happened, and I did not take a break. It just happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? Another thing that can help when it has already happened is going back to the people that may have been involved. And some people may not like this, they may not accept it, but for me, the way I see it is what is within my own control. What can I do? It's like when you say you're sorry to somebody, which is what you're going to go say. You're going to apologize. You're going to maybe try to say, you had some things going on for you and it just came out that way. However, you're going to be able to respectfully try and talk about what just happened and express your sincere apology. That's what you can do. You cannot say you're sorry and also be the person to accept you're sorry. You can't forgive. You can forgive yourself, but if you're asking somebody for forgiveness, you can't do that work for them. You ask for forgiveness, that person has to give you the forgiveness, and it's up to them. So it's also recognizing that you can go back and try and talk about what happened, not giving excuses, but as a human being, talking about the emotions. You don't have to share what the emotions were, but you can say you were under pressure, which is what I did. I explained, that I was under a lot of pressure. I was overwhelmed. I had some things going on for me, that I did not realize that I was gonna be triggered in that situation. I don't think a lot of people prepare to be triggered in a situation because you never know what's gonna happen. But I got triggered and everything just came out in the wrong place and at the wrong time. And that's what we want to make sure that we are mitigating, that we're trying not to happen. So yes, going back to the individuals or individual involved, and if they are receptive of it, talking about what just happened and why you may have acted the way you acted and very sincerely. But make sure you're safe. It's you don't want to go when somebody's really really mad with you to start trying to talk. Sometimes for me, I think about it as, do you talk to somebody when they are under the influence? They are probably not at a good place to make a conversation with you. If somebody is, say, drunk, you want to let them come back and be in a position to talk. So if somebody is really really unhappy with you and they're not ready yet to talk with you, maybe wait for the right time to be able to talk about what happened. The other strategy that I use is I statements. And what does this mean? I try to talk about how I feel, because that's just how I feel. There's nothing wrong with our feelings. In fact, we have no control, about feelings. They just come, they happen. It's when we take those feelings and the way we act and react with the feelings that sometimes we may need to think about. But to be able to navigate emotional barriers in communication, using that I statement, I felt this way when you said this, I felt this way when that happened. Nobody can dispute that, if not even you yourself. And hopefully that works for you as you continue to build upon your self-awareness. There are many ways you can do this to grow that awareness, self-awareness about yourself, because it will help you to be able to catch those emotions, to be able to kind of recognize what's happening and be able to take any corrective action, so to say. You can work with a coach. You can pick up my book, The Successful Immigrant Woman, where I share some case studies and some situations and how people work things out. Um, or you can connect with people in your network and continue to grow those skills to be able to navigate life as an immigrant woman. We will continue this conversation about barriers that can impact communication in the next episode. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in and listening to today's episode. If anything we talked about today speaks to you, subscribe to this channel and get your copy of my book, The Successful Immigrant Woman. Lastly, remember to take care of you and give yourself grace as you navigate life.